Coston, pastor here at Solid Word Bible Church. Been here now about a year and a half since returning back to the U.S. I am a native of Brooklyn, New York, and all of the diversity and energy of that city has helped me here in Indianapolis, which has been home since 1995, barring the time in which we spent in Europe, which was from 2008 to 2017, when we went initially with an assignment with my wife's job, but then I ended up pastoring over there at an international English-speaking church in southern Germany, although we lived in northern Switzerland. And so that journey, along with my upbringing in a diverse, large city, has kind of shaped who I am and how I think and how I view people and see things. But also my time, because I spent a little bit of time on staff with then called Campus Crusade for Christ, now Cru, in New York City, working with inner city ministries, churches, pastors, has really shaped how I respond to the needs I see of everyday people. And so I've been trained in a number of great environments to help me not think that life centers around me, but that I've been blessed with and endowed with some wonderful things that I can take and better the life of others as a result. Now, of course, as a pastor, I bring that great news of Christ to them because I believe that's the foundation of any good life. Yet, I know that you also have to look at the needs that people have around them, or they can't even see those other things that they have need of. Being senior pastor, you see things a lot differently. And one of my biggest things that I've really made known here for our church is, if we were to leave the community today, would anyone even care? Are we making enough of an impact here that this community would bemoan, that they would be upset with us deciding to leave? And so that's what kind of drives a lot of what we do here, is that we want to be seen as a lighthouse in this community, bringing good news on several fronts, spiritually first, but then compassionately meeting needs next.
I noticed you have a clinic here. Tell me a little bit about the clinic.
That clinic was born out of a desire to meet a need that was growing and that became evident. They had this desire before I returned. It was already in process. They were getting all the necessary things to make this a separate organization that could stand alone as a clinic, but would use some of our property here. Most of the people involved in the development of the clinic were members of the church. And so it was exciting that as I was returning and coming back here as pastor, to hear of this was exciting because it really resonated with me from way back in the day when I was on staff with Cru Inner City, and we sought to continue to help churches to meet the needs of their communities. This was a need in that there were lots of people, and still are, in this area that were going without health care, that had to choose between paying bills and getting health care. And so most of these people are working people, but they could not afford. And so the clinic, which is open every Saturday, till noon, 8 till noon, this clinic provides for the residents, especially in Pike Township here, free medical care, and it also provides connection with other services that they can refer people to. And so the doctors, the physician's assistants, the med techs, pharmacists, all of those involved are committed to a community based clinic and a community mindset. We are meeting a need that is strong here with a strong response. And so this community has kind of changed in coming back, and it is one of Indianapolis's most diverse communities. And so we see it in the clientele that comes to the clinic: Black, white, Hispanic. It doesn't make a difference, and they're all being served, and they're all going back and into their homes, knowing that this part of their life can be covered until something else can be done.
So, in your opinion, how has the church helped shape our great nation?
I mean, it has met needs in ways that the government could not, would not, and maybe even should not. It has come alongside people, but for us as African Americans, it was that place that we could go to as the oasis in the desert of life, especially back in the day for many of our people whose shoulders we stand on. You know, it was the church that brought about a Dr. King, and that church that stood against the tide of oppression and of racism was the church that gave hope through the message of the gospel, but also gave hope in that we could make some strides in this life if we garner what we have collectively and bring that force to bear on our society. So it's loved society, it's directed society, it's helped, it's covered some of the wounds in society. And so the church is very needed. I know today there's been this increasing thought, maybe it isn't, but when we look at many of the ways in which people are cared for, even some of our organizations, they were brought about from the church. And so I see the church as greatly needed continually in our society. Jesus said, "You are the salt of the earth." And we know salt preserves. And if we're doing what we should be doing, we help to preserve society.
Looking at Dr. King's vision, how has the church of yesterday helped to develop the church of today?
Wow. The church of yesterday paid a huge price for what I have and others have today. We not only stand on their shoulders, we stand on their sacrifice, their lives, their way of life, their choices, what they did, how they stood against what was coming against them, how they helped prepare people to move forward. And so they made the sacrifice. I mean, they worked in segregated environments. You know, we've heard that in the past 11 o'clock, the most segregated hour in America, and yet even in that, they continued forward, you know, helping its people not to lose hope or to come alongside them as life and as life and sin hit them hard. You know, so I just see that they showed us in many ways how to dig deep and move forward in the face of oppression. But they also gave us hope. They helped us to realize that it not only, it doesn't end here, that this is one part of the journey, and in the next there is joy as well. So they prepared us for now and helped us to look forward to the future. I'm grateful, even for my own church upbringing in Brooklyn, and how they worked with us and how they helped shape us as youth in the city, and helping to keep many of us from going in some really crazy directions. And they helped keep our feet rooted and planted, and they helped set our direction. And I am who I am today as a man because of the church and the church I grew up in.
Staying with Dr. King's vision, where are we as a culture, and why?
I'm grateful because of the pressure that he and others brought to bear on our society, and what resulted, him giving his life for it, and others as well. What has happened is it brought pressure that some laws were changed that gave us the opportunity to demonstrate the greatness that we had, and how we could contribute in greater measure to our society. And so we've had that generation and those afters that have been able to make some strides. Corporate, business world, education, housing, just to name a few. These were ways in which opportunities opened up that we could take advantage of, and that because of that, I'm blessed today. You're blessed today, and others that have benefited from the sacrifice of those at the time of Dr. King, that we now are seeing some of that fruit, that we are given opportunity to be judged by the content of our character, although the color of our skin is still a hurdle for some. Yeah. But we've been given opportunity, and that many of us have taken advantage of that opportunity, and it's resulted in, some of the increases that we see in our society. So we are grateful for that, and yet we are no way saying we've reached that pinnacle and there isn't anywhere else to go. Because we see that there is almost a reverting this backlash, that some sections of our society which are coming back and saying that we don't tend to belong in the places that we've risen to, and some of the things we've achieved, that we don't belong there. And it's for us to say, not only do we belong there, we grow from there.
So in your opinion, what role do African Americans play in the fulfillment of the dream?
I think we are fulfilling it now, one, but we continue to prepare the way for others to continue to experience it like we did, but even in greater measure than we did. I think that we demonstrate our ability to handle diversity, but by linking arms with other ethnic groups, and bringing to bear this strength of diversity, that it's not enough for just us to make strides. I would say, what about our Hispanic brothers and sisters? What about our Asian brothers and sisters? What about some of the other cultures that have come here and that may even be coming here to seek a better life? The issue is we can be that example, even though we still have a ways to go in our own communities. We still have large segments of our community that are not experiencing this growth, this opportunity to demonstrate their gifting, to even find out what that gifting is or those skills, and to express themselves in a rewarding way. So I think what we can do is to be able to demonstrate that as we've made strides, we can come alongside others to help them experience the same. And we can even look outside of ourselves and say to some of the other ethnicities, hey, let's work together so that we not only bless our communities, but we end up blessing our nation. Let's kind of show them how it needs to be done. I think the church has great value in that if we would do it.
You were in banking for many years. When you look at corporate America, where do you see race?
Where do I see race? I see the strides that we've made as a variety of ethnic people. I see some of the places we've risen to, and it's exciting to see. But I also see that there is still, as I said, that there's still a large number that still seem excluded from, partly because they're unprepared, they don't know, lack of education, lack of opportunity for some, lack of assistance that will help them to take advantage of opportunities. And so for corporate America, I think it's continue to look for those gems in places where people are not normally looking, that continue to make the impact in some of our underserved communities, knowing that from some of those places you'll get some of your thriving corporate leaders. They just probably need some assistance in realizing what they have, in what's in them, and with some education, with some mentoring, with some help along the way, they can become some of our strong leaders that surprise us one day.
How important is the church to you?
Vastly. I'm privileged to serve this church, to serve in ministry, to serve a community. I love what I do. I love it because it puts me in touch with people. It helps me to be able to come alongside people and to encourage as they live out their life. It helps me. I'm grateful to be able to set a foundation for people spiritually, that area of their life is strong, and so it blesses the other areas of their lives. It may even inform the other areas of their life. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve in the church, because I believe we connect with people in ways that no other group, area, functions, or neighborhood can give to a people. God ordained the church to be Him in the world. I know we've had some missteps. Boy, we've messed it up sometimes. We've dropped the ball sometimes, and yet we're still here. And so for us, I would say, as a church, if we did what we were called to do, it would bless the city. And that's what I seek to do. You know, really, it would bless whatever city they're in, whatever neighborhood, whatever community. It would bless. It would help to produce some of the best citizens that a community can have, that a state can have, that a nation can have, because they're living life not just for themselves, actually not even primarily for themselves. They're living it for a God who calls out to us to love others. It says to love our neighbors as ourselves.